Murad. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shekol niyeh v'varo. The question is, now I have to admit, in this Bet Knesset, it's not really a huge question, but where I grew up and deal with the Syrians, it was a massive question. This was one of the contentious points growing up. Kohanim shenimna'im la'alot l'duchan lebarech berkat kohanim b'nei shekasha alehem lahalos min alehem asher beraglehem lefnei aliyatam l'duchan. האם יכולים להורות להם שיוכלו לעשות כפיהם במנעליהם אשר ברגליהם באופן שיעמדו על גבי קרקע למטה מן ההיכל. Question basically is this. We know the kohanim, when they go and do kohanim, they bless us, they take their shoes off. Let's say a kohen doesn't want to take his shoes off. And so instead of taking his shoes off, he just says, I'm not going to do kohanim. I'll leave the shul for a few minutes, let the other kohen do it. So the question is, can you tell the kohen, no, better stay, keep the shoes on, and do kohanim? Or do you have to make it like battle? You must take your shoes off, and you cannot do kohanim unless your shoes are off. Yeah. Let's see if he addresses it. I have to admit, I didn't actually finish the whole halakha myself, so we'll do it together. It's not very long, it's very short, so he might not address it, but if he doesn't, I can come back to you next week. Like I said, the Syrian community, this is a massive question. Why? First of all, we have a zillion kohanim. When the Syrians do kohanim, half the shul goes up to kohanim. And a lot of guys don't take their shoes off. I remember growing up, when I was, at least in my shul growing up, most of the kohanim didn't take their shoes off. They did kohanim with their shoes on, and it was always a whole fight. Some guy would tell them, hey, don't go up there with shoes on. It was the whole thing. So let's see what he says. In Masechet Sotah, Shaninu bebraita, it says in the Gemara Sotah, Ena kohanim nasha'im la'alot l'duchan b'sandalehem. Kohanim are not allowed to bless us with sandals on, with shoes. V'zu ahat min hatakanot she'etkin Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai. Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai made this takana. What was the reason? Two reasons for this gezerah. Number one, b'penei kebod hasibur. It's not an honor to the congregation, which means, as she says, when they do kohanim, they have to lift their hands up. When you lift your arms up, your shirt comes up, and if you're wearing a robe, your robe comes up, right? So then, basically, their feet are going to be showing. If they're wearing robes like they used to, if you lift your hands up like this, you're going to raise 6 inches, 4, 5, 6 inches of your robe. Everyone's going to see your feet. So you better have nice feet. Otherwise, it's not nice to us that we have to look at your disgusting, shoes. Yeah, whatever you're doing. By the way, kohanim have to have nice socks. Nice. So one time I saw a kohen come a hole in his sock. I said, if I was a kohen, I'd have the most pristine sock collection. Everyone's looking at your socks.
Getting blessed by the figures.
That's what we're looking at. Who's looking at the figures? I would have like those happy socks, like all sorts of crazy. So that's number one. It's not kavod for the sibur. So you're walking around in the mud. You're in construction. You're doing whatever. You're painting. Come on, take your shoes off. We don't want to look at those shoes when you're blessing us. That's number one. And the second reason, shema tifsak boretzu'ah b'sandelo v'yachazor lekosra. What happens if while he's doing kohanim, he realizes that his shoelace snapped or came undone? So he's going to bend down in the middle of kohanim to fix his shoelace, and people are going to say, he's a ben gidusha or ben halutza. They're going to say, oh, why is he not doing kohanim with everybody else? Why is he bending down? Maybe he's not a kosher kohen. He knows he shouldn't be doing kohanim. So he's the son of a divorced woman who married a kohen, which is not allowed, and he's a halal. And therefore, from now on, there's going to be a rumor about his family that he's a false kohen. Why did he do that? Because he bent down to tie his shoelace. So during kohanim, we don't want any messing with shoelaces. Just stay up there with everybody else. These are the two reasons in the Gemara. And this is the halakha l'maaseh in the Rambam and Shulchan Aruch, that a kohen has to take his shoes off when he does kohanim. L'chaora. Yesh makom lomar she'im eno oleh ledukhan אלא נושא כפיו כשהוא עומד בקרקע, רשאי לברך בקרקע kohanim בנעליו ואשר ברגליו. Maybe you could say, if he's not on the stage, and he's just on a flat ground, maybe this should not apply. שכל שאינו עולה Lemala leduchan, as long as you don't go above us, which means we're not looking at your shoes if you're flat on flat ground, no one's looking at your shoes, and then it's not dishonoring us to have mud on your shoes unless you're on a stage. If you're on a stage, then you're like more close to our eye level. That's not nice. וגם אין דרכו לחשוש בזיקת הרצועה שבסנדלו שאין הציבור משקיעים כל כך בסנדלו כשהוא עומד למטה. Also, if the Kohen realizes, for either reason, if the Kohen realizes that his shoelace is broken or his shoelace is untied, if he's on a stage, he's going to be embarrassed. Everyone can see that, so he's going to try to fix it. But if he's on flat ground, he'll say, yeah, maybe nobody realizes it, and he won't try to fix it. So both reasons maybe won't apply if he's on flat ground. And so writes Rabbi Yehoshua Perachya Kohen in the Sefer Vayikra Yehoshua that only if you climb on the stage you have to take your shoes off. Let's skip a little bit. And it's not a gnai for the tzibur. And same thing for the shoelace. Shema tifsak ha-su'a also doesn't apply because he's not on the stage. And so that's what he holds halacha l'ma'aseh, this rabbi. And so think about our shul. We have a stage, but if the Kohen comes on, let's say Yom Kippur, he's a once a year type guy, and you don't want to mess with him, you take off your shoes. He doesn't want to take off his shoes. So you're going to lose the guy. So what would you tell him according to this shtita? Tell him, okay, make sure he goes on the flat ground. And it would be okay according to this rabbi. However, he says that the Bet Yosef brings down that even shoes without laces have to be removed for kohanim, slip-on shoes. So the Bet Yosef throws a little wrench in there, which means the Bet Yosef says, lo plug rabanan. Once they made a decree, shoes have to come off, shoes have to come off. We don't care about the reason applies, the reason doesn't apply. And so according to this Bet Yosef, it would seem across the board, no, you cannot go do kohanim without shoes. So too, if he doesn't go up to the stage, it should be the same thing. Lo plug rabanan. The rabbis did not make differentiation with the decree. The rule is the rule. But you could answer, and you could say, since the lashon of the takana of Rabbi Yochanan ben Zakkai says, "En hakohanim nashim la'alot b'sandalihim leduchan." If you look at the Gemara Sotah, the word duchan is in the rule, on the stage. It's part of the rule. And so therefore you can say, we're only